Hey folks, it's the Matinee Show. First movie we're going to be talking about this week just dropped on Netflix, I believe just on April 24th. This is a kind of an action movie
Yeah.
from 2020 called Extraction.
Yeah, it is trending #1, and it's good. It's good. I
liked it very much.
It had a lot of different elements all mixed in together. You got a guy, he's a combat, he's an Australian guy, he's a combat veteran, and he's a contractor at this point. He's after his career, I guess. And he rescues people. I guess he assassinates people and just does missions.
He does whatever you pay
him to do. And in this one, he's got to rescue the son of a drug lord who's captured by another drug lord. Now, these drug gangs happen between India and Pakistan. So most of the shit's going down inside either India or Pakistan.
Or Bangladesh.
That's
it's
right.
actually set in Bangladesh.
Yeah, Bangladesh, not Pakistan. India and Bangladesh. And, man, it looks like fucking Bangladesh. It's just, you know what I mean? It's where it's filmed.
They did shoot a lot of it in Bangladesh. I think a lot of the like smaller scenes, chase stuff, I think they shot that in Thailand. But a lot of the distant shots and stuff were actually shot in Bangladesh, yeah. So it's mostly shot where it was set.
I enjoyed the movie. I just can't find anything wrong with it. I thought there was a bunch of like John Wick style gun kata in there, and I tell you, you try that shit in real life, you just get fucking mowed down. That just doesn't happen. But it looks good on camera.
Well, yeah.
It looks very good on camera. Combat doesn't take place at 5 feet. It just doesn't. No.
But yeah, so Chris Hemsworth is in this, and he also produced it. Now, this was, I didn't realize when we were watching it, but it was directed by Sam Hargrave, who was a stuntman and a stunt coordinator on several of the Marvel movies. This is actually, I believe this is the first movie that he's directed. Now, this was written and produced by the Russo brothers, who actually directed Avengers Endgame, among other things. So these are kind of like, big heavy hitter type of guys. You can tell that this is definitely a stuntman's movie, because a lot of the stunts, much like John Wick, are done practically. I didn't really see a lot of CGI. I mean, maybe there was some.
They did a good job of hiding it. There's a scene where a woman shoots down a helicopter with an RPG, and it looked real.
It really did. It's like if it was fucking...
I think in reality, it's a helicopter on a crane. And they just CG'd the crane and the wires out.
Which is what they would usually do in a practical effect.
But the way it was done, it looked good. A lot of car chases, car wrecks, running people over.
People getting hit by cars and falling out of buildings and shit like that.
Yeah, lots of cool guns, lots of cool different military guys and gangsters and shit. And it's a bunch of fucking battles of honor and, just... It's a good movie. I liked it.
It was based on I guess it's based on like a comic book. And... I kind of feel like they maybe are trying to go like the franchise route with this. Maybe you don't have to, because it does seem like it could go either way.
The ending is they're telegraphed.
They did leave a little bit of an ambiguity there at the end.
It kind of has the element of the old movie called The Professional, where you had a hitman and he was trying to protect a little girl. It's a little bit like that. He protected a boy.
Everybody's like a moral gray area. I really liked. I mean, mostly it seems like most of the reviews I've seen of this have been like, the action set pieces, amazing. The stunt work, amazing. A lot of the cinematography is really good. Some were like, oh, well, the story and characterization were a little... But you know what I mean? I didn't really find that. I was actually really... I mean, Chris Hemsworth plays a very stoic character. And at first it's kind of... He's very hard to read and stuff like that, because he's just like this stone cold badass who... goes and does these jobs, some of which are very questionable, and he's kind of gotten used to that. So that's kind of what his character is. But as the movie goes on, you find out, why he's like that and why he's ended up at this place in his life that he's at. You know what I mean? Like, he has kind of a tragic backstory. And also, I kind of like the relationship that develops between him and the kid of the drug lord. That kid is great. I really liked him a lot.
Funny.
It's like they don't do a lot of conversation stuff, because it's a pretty fast paced
and that was the
action movie.
That was the right decision. There wasn't a lot of conversation.
But the little bits of conversation that they had were
that's enough.
That's enough, and it's like you got enough of the gist. There was some funny, not funny zany, but just some kind of good dialogue between the two of them.
Well, it was kind of like Mad Max Fury Road. There's not a lot of dialogue in it. It's just enough to let you know who the people are.
Yeah, you don't need it.
They're not having a quote a scene.
Yeah,
a scenes only happen in movies. In real life, it's just people talking when they have to.
Yeah.
And I liked that.
And that's essentially what this is, because they're just pretty much on the move the whole entire time, because he's trying to like save this kid from. Yeah. And there's like all these like conflicting forces.
There's a time where he's doing first aid on himself. There's a time for them to have a little conversation, and that seemed natural. And then you find out more about the kid, and it's fine. You don't need to know any more about the kid. They did it was just enough, and not too much. So I think the balance on that was perfect.
I thought so as well. Yeah. Like you didn't really. I mean, like I said, you got the gist of it.
Yeah, and what's his name? Chris. What was his name? Yeah, what's the name of the character?
Tyler Rake.
Tyler Rake, that's right.
Yeah.
Rake doesn't say much, and I think that's good. The less these kind of guys say, the better.
Well, and in real life, if you were that person...
You don't have time to talk about it.
You wouldn't have time to talk about any of that shit. And he was like, he had done a bunch of these types of jobs before. He was he was a combat veteran. I think he said he'd done 3 tours in Afghanistan at one point. I think he mentioned that. But since then, he'd been working for essentially like a black market type of mercenary company who just whoever pays them, in this case, like a drug dealer is paying them, hey, this rival drug dealer kidnapped my kid, so go in there and get him back out. So that's pretty much what he's doing. And he, Tyler admits that he has, been hired to kill people, so he's an assassin as well.
Yeah, I guess that probably happens a lot. Depends on what country you're talking about, who the client is.
Right.
If the client is an authority in that country, then it's with...
Or if they have enough money to circumvent.
Or if this...
the laws, as in this case.
Or if they own the law.
That's what I meant.
Then sometimes... the threat is there, and if the contractor can justify it, go, yeah, that is a bad guy, I'll get him for you.
Yeah.
Then that's what you do. Because some countries don't have much of a government.
Right.
So it all has to be done privately. So I can understand that. But, I liked it. If you like the new James Bond type movies, you'd like it. If you like the Mission Impossible, it's kind of like... Yeah,
it gave me a little bit of that vibe,
Mission
too.
Impossible, like that.
Like John Wick, but not as stylized.
Not as stylized.
Or stylish.
Still good. Some of the John Wick style close combat shit, I like it. It looks great on camera to watch it. I've seen Reeves shoot. Fucking Keanu Reeves can shoot. He shoots well. He's fast. He's accurate. That's not fucking totally tactical. You don't do that shit out in the open.
Well, yeah, but it's a movie,
That's the only thing that kind of gets me. He's holding one dude, shooting this dude, and then shooting this other guy at 5 feet away, and then their buddies run up to them from 40 meters away, and then engage in that same close combat. That's not how close combat does. You shoot this guy, you shoot that guy, and their friends just 40 meters away just open up on you with machine guns and just cut you to ribbons. That's what really happens.
Well, yeah, because you'd be dead.
You're dead.
They wouldn't run over there. Why would they?
Armed combat, you want as much distance between you and the opponent as possible. You really want it to be fucking single, well-aimed shots. That's really the best in sniping. That's most ideal. There is close combat. It's just not this fanciful. And it's fucking, in reality, it's the last ditch. It's something you want to avoid, if at all possible. And it's almost it's almost suicide. Your chances of survival in the long run are very low. The longer you do that, the less chances you survive. Your survival goes down.
Yeah, but like I said,
it's coming from these last wars that we were in, are mostly kind of more like law enforcement, where guys in APCs and vehicles are going into houses to go find some suspects, and it's more like law enforcement than war. When I was in the Army, we didn't go into houses. If the bad guy went into a house, we just called artillery fire, called helicopters, and blow that fucking whole house up. I'm not going in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They want to get me, they got to come out in the woods and come get me. Come find me. I'm walk into this gun barrel. That's the last thing that you want to do. But I understand that it is a movie.
Yeah, everybody has to be in the frame.
Show you some cool shit. They all got to be in the frame. And
everybody if you want an action movie, you want to see action.
I love that shit, but it gets translated into what we call GunTube, which is all the gun channels on YouTube, and they fucking start talking about that's what combat's like, and that's why that is not. You bitches, stop it. You've never been in the military. That is not the way it's like. That's not the way it is. Just because you own an AR-15 and have all these little lights on with you, and just because you're fast, that doesn't mean you wouldn't get the shit shot out of you.
Well, at least one thing that I did like about this, it's more. I will say that Extraction is a more realistic movie than John Wick.
Yeah, I think so. They're different movies,
but
though.
Yeah, it's a different thing. Like I said, John Wick movies, I love those.
It's supposed to be stylish.
It's stylized.
It's a gangster movie, gangster action movie.
This one was a little, grittier and was trying to go more realistic. But
trying to go more military.
Right. With every action movie, that's not how shit would work in real life. I think probably every action movie ever made.
Yeah, and then,
I don't think I've ever seen one.
It's in the same, and then Bond is a movie kind of like this, but he's a little more suave, fucking assassin / he's working in the shadows. He's gonna talk his way through it, and then he's gonna fucking do something to you. And then the American version of that would be fucking, Mission Impossible.
I think Mission Impossible is probably the closest to this.
To Mission
Although
Impossible.
it wasn't quite as slick, and I think. Honestly, I liked a lot of the stunt work and the action set pieces in this one better than some of the Mission Impossible. Because, like I said, they seemed more grounded in reality. Whereas Mission Impossible kind of has these big epic...
is American James Bond.
Yeah.
It's got to be bigger and better. It's American. It's got to be more, bigger, and better.
Yeah.
And that's what James Bond does.
It's a dick thing.
And it's a dick thing. And they got Cruise, which Cruise can really shoot in real life. And I respect Cruise. A lot of people fucking... pick on him and shit, but the dude actually can fly these airplanes and these helicopters and these fucking motorcycles, and he can shoot. So I really like that. I really like that he puts in the effort to not be a fake, but to really know how to do that shit. It does show in those movies. I really like that last stuff. Was it Fallout? What's it called?
I liked it as well.
Yeah, it was good, really good. And but like I said, that is competing more with James Bond.
Yeah.
So it's suits and nice shit and cars
it's a little slicker.
And technology and shit. This is military.
And this is like everyone,
very much like a contractor
movie.
It's in
Bangladesh in these crowded streets,
dirty
and it's everything's very dirty.
Yeah.
And you're climbing up in these crumbling buildings and like shooting people with fucking RPGs. And
the bad guys are skinny little starving kids sometimes, and he's beating them up and shit. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's like so. This is really, really good. I mean, the stunt work is incredible in this. And a lot of the action set pieces, like the one where they were chasing each other through the streets and all the driving, and they were like running people over, and I mean, fucking Chris Hemsworth, he's in very good shape, obviously, and he looked like he did a lot of his own stunts, and he gets pretty beat up during this, as you would.
I did like that. He was getting stiff and getting sore and fucking all beat up. He had a lot of scars on it. He did take more damage than a man could take and shake off within a 24-hour period.
Sure, yeah, but that's you can say that.
He got hit by a car. He jumped out of a fucking car at about 60.
He fell out of a building.
Out of a fucking building. He got grazed a couple times. He got into a bunch of fucking fist fights all in one day.
Yeah,
and walked.
It was a bad day.
And he could walk the next morning when he woke up.
Yeah.
When I wrecked that fucking motorcycle, when I set that motorcycle down, what was I like just a few hours later?
The next day he couldn't
even fucking move.
Actually, by the time I got home from work, you couldn't move.
Yeah.
I distinctly remember he had forgotten this because we were talking about this last night.
I was going.
He's like, man, I just got in a motorcycle accident. And he didn't break any bones or anything. No. And he had armor on and everything.
Came off about 60.
And he was about 60 miles an hour and he came off the bike. Yeah. And he was okay, like he could get back home and everything. But by the time I got home from work, like maybe 4 or 5 hours later, he was laying on the bed just going,
One whole side of my body was fucking bruised.
I had to go to the McDonald's drive-thru and get him a Big Mac and put it on his chest.
Yeah,
so
so he could eat it like that. Couldn't get my clothes off.
He couldn't move. I know, I was like trying to take his fucking socks off and his pants, or putting like sweatpants on you or something like that, and you were just like, ah!
I pissed blood a couple times.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of pinkish in there.
Yeah.
But it went away. I kept drinking water. It went away a few hours later, so I knew it was all right. But I was bruised on fucking one whole side of my body. Couldn't even fucking move. Couldn't get my fucking shirt off.
I might.
She's trying to move. And I'm like, no. So I got experience with some of the shit that he went through. He went through it was 6 times that.
Yeah.
And I was like going.
I don't think you'd be moving too much.
He wouldn't be moving.
Oh, I have to say too that David Harbour from Stranger Things, obviously, Hopper, he had a cameo in this. It was a little more than a cameo. It was like he was kind of a long scene in there, so that was delightful to see him. And I really liked his character, and I liked the interaction. He was like an old friend of Tyler Rake's, and he was like went to him for help, and all this horrible shit happened. But yeah, this is like, I can see why this is the #1 movie.
Yeah, it's
if you really like action movie and like really really kick ass like stunts and all that kind of shit, then you definitely need to check this. It's really fast paced. It's like really enjoyable, not boring, nothing. It's just like really.
I hope
cool.
the movies of the future for Netflix and like direct to fucking home, streaming. I hope the movies are like this, and I hope they can be successful.
Well, I mean, if this is if it stays streaming like number one and it's like it's really
this is how you
popular and everything, then they'll make more like it. So that's what you got to do.
Yeah, and it is left open for a sequel. I would like to see more of these.
I would as well. Yeah, I think that they could really expand his character.
I think it was a direct response to John Wick. I think.
Yeah. Even though, like you said, it's a totally different, like the look of it is different.
It's a military version of that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely cool. So it's on Netflix, at least in the U.S. I don't know about other countries. But yeah, definitely check it out if you like action movies, because it was pretty fucking great. So for the second movie that we watched this week, this is one that just dropped on Shudder out of kind of nowhere. This is called Blood Quantum.
Yeah. This is a good one. This is a zombie flick.
It's not a bad little flick.
But this one's zombie versus Indians. Which is kind of a cool
Indians
take.
As in Native Americans, not as in people from India.
Yeah. And they're northern Indians.
I believe they are supposed to be Micmac Indians.
Micmac Indians, yeah.
From northern Quebec.
Right.
Quebec, rather.
We actually know a northern Indian girl. She's a Macaw.
Yeah.
Tori.
Yeah.
She was the cutest little punk rock girl when she was a little girl, and then now she's kind of like this, I don't know, multicolored hair goth woman now. Goth chick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen her in a while.
Yeah, and she kind of looked like these people, except she had blue eyes, which is weird. But, Indians can look like anything nowadays.
Yeah, this is a cool movie. Okay, so it's kind of like it had like a Romero style premise in the sense that it's like a zombie movie and it's gory and everything like that, but it also had kind of a little bit of a social commentary type of thing going on. Please don't walk on the keyboard.
Cat's got to get up here. What you doing?
There's her butt.
Okay.
Well, she.
It's gonna be all right, Pooh.
There it is.
Be all right,
but yeah, so it was written and directed by Jeff Barnaby, and like I said, they actually filmed this in northern Quebec and I think in New Brunswick, and it's basically the story of this zombie plague that they have kind of like the first act of the movie, like I guess like the first third is just kind of saying how the plague kind of came about and establishing like all these relationships between the characters, because there's like this reservation or like town reservation called Red Crow, and the sheriff, whose name is Trailer, and I think the actor's name is Michael Greyeyes, and so it's him and his ex-wife and like his son by one mother and a son by another mother, and there's all this family tension and shit. So it's this really small town, and this zombie plague starts, which interestingly starts with like the fish, like fish and dogs and stuff like that, and then they get it. But then like, so they kind of establish that that's happening, and then it like jumps ahead like 6 months where, pretty much it seems like the plague has kind of taken over the whole earth. However, the one thing that's different about this is that Native Americans are immune to the zombie plague, but nobody else is.
Yeah.
So
well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Europeans came here, brought smallpox and stuff. We were kind of immune to it or had a limited immunity, but they weren't.
Yeah.
That was back in the 1500s when the Spaniards show up. So why not? Why wouldn't they possibly be immune to something that, that we are not immune to?
Yeah.
Immunity was always an issue.
It was a good take.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? And I don't think I've ever seen anything done. I mean, you don't see a lot of movies with Native American characters or, pretty much almost all of the characters in this are Native American characters. There's a few white ones in there, but...
So they can be eaten, but if they get bitten, they don't turn.
Yeah, they can get bit, and obviously the zombies, if enough of them pile on you and eat you, then obviously you're going to die then. But yeah, if they get bitten, they won't turn.
So this kind of like throws a different dynamic into the situation, though. Think about it. If you're mostly a bunch of Native Americans inside a compound who are you worried about turning into a zombie? Just the white people.
Yeah.
And they already kind of don't like the white people.
Right.
So it kind of exacerbates all this kind of like racism going on. You know?
Because like all these white people keep turning up at their compound and like wanting help and stuff.
And they're like, get these fuckers out of here.
Yeah.
And they bring up a lot of stuff about, all these white people are so civilized they can't take care of themselves. A lot of truth to it. You know what I mean? They were mostly, like soccer moms and dads and shit, But these guys are tough. They're hardcore. One of them is a World War II veteran, and he's got a captured Japanese sword he got off the Japanese during an island campaign. And he's an old guy, but he's like a badass, and he's kills a bunch of them with a sword. One of the things I liked about it is that it kind of had a certain effect that they were using that you saw in Mandy. That's when shit got real heavy, they might show kind of like an animated sequence.
Yeah, they definitely seemed like they were homaging that. It was really cool. It only happened a couple times, like briefly.
Yeah.
But the animation was really nice. Much like in Mandy, there's just those brief animated sequences.
And it's trying to express something that's happening in the spirit world.
Yeah.
Like one of them is kind of like shows you what's going on, the evil that's going on inside the heart of one guy. You see that.
Yeah.
And then when the World War II veteran, when he goes down, he sacrifices himself, fighting a horde of damn zombies. He's killed, but in the spirit world he lives on. He was still fighting more of them.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. And before he goes out, you start hearing in the background chanting, and you hear his like Indian death song coming.
Yeah.
Which I liked all that shit, all that Native American stuff, man. Fucking, it really worked out well with the zombie movie.
Yeah, because
this is not a perfect movie.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's a good movie.
Yeah, some of the acting is a little questionable. Some of the scenes are a little dark, and you can't like the way they're edited. You can't entirely see what's going on. But those are really pretty minor nitpicks. If you like George Romero's stuff, it's almost kind of a combination of his earlier stuff and his later stuff. Like Land of the Dead type period. There's some really, really good. Some of the kills are off screen, but when they do show them, it's like pretty gory and over the top. A lot of the character dynamics, like the, stuff between the characters is really interesting. I liked a lot of the characters and shit like that. So
I liked the movie.
I did too.
But what I didn't like about it is that the preamble to the outbreak, I think, was a little too long.
Yeah.
And it was also a little too wordy. It was too much focused on the relationships of the characters. It should have been trimmed down into mostly an action adventure movie.
Yeah.
You didn't need to talk about the things that they were talking about, because in my opinion, it bogged the movie down. It should have been constantly rolling forward like a really good Walking Dead episode. Should have been like a Walking Dead double episode.
Yeah. Well, sometimes, and I think this happens a lot and I don't know if this writer director has made any movies previous to this, or if it's like his first big one, but something, and I see this in a lot of movies, even by experienced filmmakers, where they'll show something happening, and then like the next scene it'll show like characters talking about what just happened, and I'm like, you don't need to do that. It's we saw it.
Yeah.
It's like, I understand that maybe the characters have to like discuss it among themselves, but you don't need to like repeat what's already been seen. I can just assume it
comes across like they're trying to make filler, it
wasn't long enough yet.
Yeah, like they're trying to fill it out.
Yeah.
Like they didn't have enough money to throw in 2 or 3 extra action scenes, so they padded it out with dialogue. And you don't need that. It's better. This would have been a lot better if it was. Remember the Japanese zombie movie where it was supposed to be done in one cut? It was called One Cut.
Yeah, One Cut of the Dead. Yeah.
Imagine if this was a one cut tale, or made to look like a one cut tale, like that, but serious with these damn Indians on a survival mission.
Yeah.
With less dialogue, because you didn't need all the dialogue to know who these people were.
Yeah.
They showed us who they were.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, so some of it that you didn't need, but like I said, it's a pretty minor nitpick. This is actually a pretty rad movie. All the gore was good. I really liked a lot of the characters. There was like some kind of dark humor in it a little bit.
Yeah, left open for a sequel too. So.
Yeah, it's possible that they could do one. As I said, this premiered. This actually, it says 2020 on Shudder, but it actually premiered at the Toronto Film Festival because it's a Canadian movie, in case I didn't mention it. And I think it got one of the runner-up People's Choice Awards at there, so it's kind of gotten a little bit of buzz and stuff. Also, I wanted to say, too, I was watching a guy earlier that who was a Canadian film reviewer, and he really liked this movie, but he was mad because he's Canadian, and he's like, I don't know why Shudder premiered this on American Shudder, but not on Canadian Shudder, even though it's a Canadian movie. I mean, it has to do with like whoever the distribution, because if he has distribution rights in different countries and shit like that. Also, before we wrap up this particular movie, I want to say that one of the best things about the movie is that, and it's only mentioned like a time or two, but there is apparently in the universe of this movie, there is a strip club, and it is called the Fish Mitten.
Yeah, that's funny, yeah.
And I just laughed my ass off. And I'm like, the strip club is called the Fish Mitten. I'm like, that is fantastic. Yeah. That was one of my favorite things about the movie.
What I thought was cool about it is that I thought the cast was authentic looking.
Well, they all were. They all were, actually.
And I was impressed, man. They're fucking big.
Yeah.
When I was in the Army, a lot of the Native American guys that I worked with were smaller guys. But evidently up north, they got some big fucking Native American guys.
These were some big burly dudes.
Some of those dudes looked like above 6 feet.
And, well, it was good because they looked like they could totally go around and kick ass, you know what I mean? Which they did. Yeah. And like I said, there's good gore in this. A little dark in places, so you can exactly tell, like especially like during some of the bigger battle scenes, like between the zombies and whatnot. But, other than that, I really liked it. It's like a different take on the zombie genre. Some similar things, to a Romero flick or something like that. But the whole Native American setting and everything really gave it like kind of a different feel, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, it's worth watching.
But yeah, it's on Shudder. So if you want to check it out, then I recommend it.
Throw. All right, this one here, man, disappointed me.
Yeah, well, okay. Now,
this is weird.
This one is called, we just found this one randomly while we were scrolling through our Xbox rental thing.
Yeah.
This is a sci-fi horror movie. It's Australian. It's called The Dustwalker.
Yeah.
Now, the poster looked cool because it looked like, kind of Lovecraftian with like the tentacles and
trailer
whatnot.
Was good.
The trailer looked kick-ass.
Yeah.
And actually, for the first probably third of the movie...
Yeah, I was like, this is pretty cool.
I was into it. It almost seemed like kind of a combination of Tremors, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and like that type of vibe, and a little bit of a Lovecraftian type of thing happening.
I thought it was going to go like Squirm.
Yeah, or it was like Slither or something like that. It kind of had a little, Slither. It had a little bit of that. Yeah, Squirm was that bad worm.
That was a bad worm movie. Starts off, there's something going deep through space, like a fucking bird. You see it point of view. It's going through space. It comes into our galaxy, and then it impacts on the damn Earth, and it leaves a fucking. Well, it comes in like a meteor, impacts on the Earth, and leaves a big.
Like out in the fucking Australian outback, or something, like this tiny little town.
Yeah, big crater. And then people see it. In Australia, hitting. But they don't see where it actually goes. And then they see a UFO.
Yeah.
So I guess a UFO was following it.
Yeah, I didn't get that. And then, like, I was reading, like, a plot synopsis of it later, and this is probably bad. Like, I wasn't drunk or anything watching this movie. I had one drink.
It becomes unintelligible.
Yeah, like, I didn't... So, I was reading this plot synopsis, and I was like, oh... The meteor and the alien were, like, two separate things.
And it came and destroyed the things that it let out.
Okay, yeah. See, I didn't even
caught them on fire.
I didn't even pick up on that.
But
I thought it was all like one thing.
It was badly written and mismanaged. The ideas. I mean, they had a good cast. The acting was pretty good. The location was really good. They had the makings of a very interesting fucking science fiction movie, and they fucked it up. By overcomplicating it.
It kind of bummed me out because, like I said, the first third of it, I was really invested. Like, I liked all the characters. It's basically, like, small town Australia, and there's, like, a sheriff. I guess she's supposed to be the sheriff, and the, like, sheriff and her, like, deputy or whatever. And, this is a very small town, and there's not really that many people there. And so some of the people in the town like that have touched this weird thing. It's kind of like Color Out of Space in the way that like they touch this thing that came in the media.
It looks like red spores.
Yeah, and then they start like acting really weird and like killing their family members and like they're just standing around staring at people like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Yeah. And I really dug like that, and I'm like, oh, this is really cool.
But they never took it to the next level.
Yeah, but then it
stayed idling like that.
Yeah,
and it had a fucking good premise when they first find it. They find these animals that look like they're blown up with these red spores and like tentacle-looking weeds coming out of it.
Yeah.
And I was going, oh, this is going to be pretty badass. And what it first looked like was happening, it looked like animals got spores on them and that they ran up to people and blew up. Because remember,
then the spores spread.
Go on
that's
that
what
person.
I thought was happening
and then
too.
I thought that person would go and blow up and make the spore. And that's
we were hoping for people to blow up.
Yeah, and that would have been a good.
Is what we're saying.
That would have been a good fucking story.
Yeah, that's the way I thought it was going. With that. I thought that's what they were talking about.
That's not what happened. For some reason, the animals blew up, but then it got on the people. But the people could walk around and talk. They would kill other people, but then
they were like possessed, kind of.
Yeah, and they could hear people talking, and then they would allow themselves to be arrested, which that fucking threw me off. They didn't seem to really die on their own, and then this fucking big like dick scorpion comes out of nowhere.
That's kind of what it looks like.
What a brother would call a crooked. It's like a crooked dick with fucking legs on the back and a fucking scorpion's tail with a fucking bunch of teeth in the front of it. And you're like, well, what's the fuck is this thing? And it wasn't until later you find out that this is like the cops, I guess, and it's trying to stop this outbreak. But the outbreak is just a bunch of spores that make people kill other people. But
I wasn't really sure what the end game was.
Yeah.
Because maybe if the meteor came, maybe that wasn't even like an intelligence. It was just like a natural phenomenon.
I think it was a natural phenomenon.
Like, because didn't they say something about ants and like some kind of parasites that get in ants and start making them act crazy?
But there was all kinds of shit they missed. They found the crater, but they never fucking investigated the crater. They just found it. They didn't look down in the bottom. Nobody went down there on a rope. There's all kinds of shit that could have happened. You could have gone down there and found a damn alien nest, or the person gets down there and got infected, and then they come back out and blow up. This is Australian, okay? And Australia has been fucking hitting pretty heavy lately. I mean, they've been
made some pretty kick-ass.
So I was really
sci-fi movies.
I was really disappointed. I was like, this has got a lot of promise, but it's just not fucking delivering on its promise.
I feel, you know what I feel like it was?
There was so much shit they could have done.
I feel like this one almost seemed like they didn't have the budget to do what they wanted.
Yeah.
And they were trying to, and they had this like really big, like epic idea, but they didn't have the money to pull it off. And it really did seem like maybe they didn't have, they're like, well, we need to like pad this out. So it really did seem like a lot of the running time was kind of like the few residents of this tiny town, like kind of sneaking around, like trying to avoid the other people.
And it's unclear where they're going and why.
Yeah.
There's no real plan. Did you notice that? You're like, okay, they're trying to go somewhere. Yeah, just kind of ambled. They're trying to go somewhere, but they don't really fucking specify
It's like every now, it's like they'd make a offhand comment about, oh, well, some of the other residents are like trapped in the diner or whatever, and they had to like go get them. But it's like, it seemed like a large part of the running time was just them kind of like sneaking around town and trying to avoid the people that had already been taken over by the spores.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, when the dick scorpion alien got there,
the cock scorpion,
the cock scorpion, started like sucking people up with the tentacles.
Yeah, I'm thinking this is part of the same monster.
I thought it was part. I thought it was all like that. This was part. This was. Like, I thought that the spores were what he had sent out ahead of time to, like, kill everyone off, and then they were going to come and take over. Right. I thought, but apparently they're not really, or he came and he was trying to, like, get rid of the people that already had spores. I don't know.
It didn't make any difference. Because, first of all, the cockasaur, I'm going to call it the cockasaur. I called it a cockasaur. Because it kind of looks like a four-legged dinosaur and a cricket, and a cave cricket.
With a scorpion butt.
Yeah, the scorpion. But anyway, the cockasaur. What was I gonna fucking say about the cockasaur?
You got so wrapped up in cockasaur that now
I got stunned by that concept. Now I'm wanting a cockasaur. It's like I could use one of them. But anyway, what happened was that they tried to make the cockasaur the fucking central theme of the movie, I guess, but the CG on it sucked.
That's
I never would have had the Cogosaur.
I think that the budget really kind of...
Yeah.
Really, what I think they should have done...
You tell me what you think, because you see, I have another hypothesis of what happened.
What's the hypothesis?
That there was a story more about those spores, okay? But and they shot a bunch of stuff, but for some reason that didn't work. So they re-edited it. They re-edited it and added the Cogosaur.
The CGI, yeah.
All right, I think that Cogosaur was added because they couldn't do something else. Because that just felt very unwieldy. It was that felt like that was something they were forced to do. Because
maybe that would make a lot of sense, and that would make sense, like why there was two separate things, and I was like really confused as to whether they were working together or at odds with one another. I didn't get it.
I don't believe the Cogosaur was originally in
the story.
In the story, I think what it was gonna be and what it should have been is really kind of about these alien spores that infected this town out in fucking near the outback of Australia. And what this was gonna be is something kind of like Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah.
Where they were trying to stop
Or like I said, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I got a very Invasion of the Body Snatchers kind of thing. And I really think they should have just gone in that direction with maybe not even a malevolent alien, but just this, it could have been like a John Wyndham kind of thing where there's just this spore came to the
how they tried to leave, but they couldn't because the roads were blocked by the fucking, I don't know, the wind fucking
Well, there was a dust storm, and then
the
woman drove through it, Angela, I think her name is, but she just like teleported back into the town, like, so it wasn't letting them leave.
That was kind of like an unwieldy way of doing what happened in Carpenter's The Thing, where you couldn't get off the dam.
Right.
Off the fucking damn South Pole. That's what they're talking about.
Yeah, they were trying to contain it.
But they just didn't have... They're trying to keep everybody contained in this town by the story.
Because if you could leave,
Outback,
you would.
Yeah, because if you leave, you would. But the Outback is nothing like, in terms of like, how remote. It's nothing like the South Pole. The South Pole is remote as fuck, okay? Yeah. And it's frozen, so you can't walk off of it. But they tried to do that with the Outback. That's what I think originally what they were doing.
Yeah. Like you said, if indeed that is the case, that the alien, the dick scorpion alien or the Cogosaurus or whatever we call it, was added later because because whoever it was thought, well, it needs a monster or it's not exciting enough.
Look at how they lost that thread. The whole deal with the spores, I'm like, oh, this is going good. Well, what happened to that?
That's what I thought. I thought that the spores were gonna start blowing people up, and it was gonna start disseminating.
Yeah, right.
And making everybody crazy.
And then maybe grow into something.
Right, and and I was thinking it was more like. Not like it was put there by malevolent aliens necessarily, but it was just like a natural thing that came out of a meteor.
I think
just like in that creep show segment, you know what I mean, where the meteor came and started growing plants all over.
Right, and I think that's originally what it was.
Yeah, which probably would have worked better.
Somebody made them add
the monster.
Yeah, for some reason.
Which it didn't need.
No, it didn't need it. It should have just been nothing about this outbreak of damn spores and people blowing up into spores and spore carriers and becoming kind of like ants infected with spores that sprout.
And the spores making you kill your family members.
And that's all you need. What the hell do you need to add a damn Cogosaur to this shit for? A bad CGI Cogosaur.
Yeah.
And
like I said, and I didn't really
I got a feeling that there was studio meddling or something.
Although, I mean, it's an independent movie, but maybe they
ran out of money.
Maybe they ran out of money and they had to get some funding from some production company or something, and they said, "Hey, put some monsters in this."
Yeah, and they said, "We will not help you."
Pookie's butt keeps moving the camera.
Something happened to where we're not going to help you with your movie unless a Cogosaur's in there. It's something like that.
It was some Cogosaur-based production.
It's a Cogosaur, yeah.
We have to have a Cogosaur in every single movie. It's in the contract.
Well, that happened. That happened to Ed Wood a lot with the religious people funding this movie. He says, "Well, no, we have to have the Lord's message in here somewhere."
Yeah.
So,
you can make it as trashy as you want as long as you're saying, "Oh, that's bad."
Yeah, as long as you're saying it's bad, and then you do some Bible quotes.
Yeah.
In the voiceover.
Or have the judge excoriating people at the end for being immoral.
I got a feeling that's what happened to the Cogosaur.
It maybe did.
Because the design of that monster was fucking horrible. Horrible. It looked terrible.
It did.
It looked terrible.
Which, like I said, it's a real bummer because I mean, for the first third of this movie, we were into it.
Yeah, we're like, oh, this is gonna be good.
Because it seemed like all the actors. I liked all the characters. I liked the concept. Like, it was really creepy. Like, all the townsfolk just staring.
Yeah, and Australians, they're good looking people. They got good looking women. They're better looking than us. Every time I see Australia, they had that cute redhead, and then the fucking sheriff. She was a female. She was cute, and then the fucking, you know what I mean? It just Australia's gonna show you some cute women. That's what they do.
Yeah.
They got handsome men. Fucking. They can show you that too. Did they show you any handsome men?
I guess I can't really remember. I couldn't really remember. I wasn't really paying attention to what they were looking like.
She's trying to dissect the fucking.
Well, yeah, I was like I said, I'm a horror writer. I try to dissect the story.
After they started locking up the infected ones and they would go inside the cell with them and talk to them safely and come back out, I was like, this is not going right.
Well, yeah, because then it really didn't seem like a threat anymore.
There's no threat now. Yeah, there's like,
and then
these guys, you can arrest them and talk to them, and then they don't blow up. Yeah. They don't blow up into red spores and affect you.
See, that's what I was kind of hoping would happen. Yeah. That they went in there that cell to talk to him, and he would just blow up and the spores would go everywhere.
And it could hear voices. They never really resolved that.
Yeah, that was the shame. I think that, like I said, I think they had like a really good idea, but they didn't have like the money to execute it the way they wanted to, maybe. And but I mean, the concept was good. It didn't need the monster.
I would throw this movie away and one day try to remake it.
Yeah, and like
I
said,
don't try to associate the movie with this one,
because it's a great idea.
It's a great idea. I guess maybe this was what they wanted, but I got a feeling no. I don't think this is what they wanted.
It does really. The monster aspect did seem kind of tacked on.
It was tacked on, I think. Yeah. Or at least they overthought it and tried to add to. It doesn't make any fucking sense. That is already a good enough premise.
Yeah.
But there's scenes missing. Like you have an American girl. Her whole job in the movie is to run around taking pictures of things and find the damn hole in the ground. Was she a
geologist?
So, I
wasn't sure.
I don't know.
I don't think they ever specified.
No. But there should have been a scene where they went down into the damn crater and found some horrible shit.
Well, see, like I said, I bet they couldn't afford to shoot something like that.
But that's what had to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're going to fucking write this check, you better cash it.
See, I always felt like when you're making an independent movie, because honestly, some really good movies have been made with like nothing budgets, but I really feel that you need to take your budget and your location into account and then write a script from that, like with what you have, so you don't need to like have this big, huge idea and you are not going to be able to execute it the way you want to, and it's just going to be really obvious that you can't. It would have been
much better to get rid of the fucking caucasaur and then made this a damn thing of like extraterrestrial infection, kind of like the Andromeda strain, mixed with rabid.
Yeah, because that wouldn't have been difficult to do. That would have been
cheaper to make, and it'd been a lot better.
Yeah.
Been a lot better.
Just simpler.
Yeah, simple, and then you deliver on that.
Yeah.
You deliver on that promise. People with fucking red spores blowing up or red spores, and they're kind of like zombies or infected people from rabid.
Yeah.
But they're not really a zombie, they can talk. Maybe they have a what do you call it? You add shit that's cheap, like you just give them dialogue to make it look like that they all have a communal hive mind.
Yeah, like voiceover. That'd be easy to do.
Yeah, just stuff like that. And this movie would have been fucking awesome.
Yeah,
with such a simple,
great idea.
With just a simple, well-executed premise like that.
Yeah.
With the right action scenes written. Yeah. Because I never really felt these people were in danger. Did you?
No, not really.
No. And they're just walking around on the street. And there's people standing out there. They run from them, but they're not. And I mean,
the thing is,
they're not a threat.
They did have the balls to like kill a little girl and like do some shit like that. So there was that aspect, but yeah, it really didn't seem like anyone was in any immediate danger, because look at her. You could see like the little kitty's face up there in the corner. But yeah, it really did seem like, the infected people could run really fast, but they normally didn't. They usually just kind of stood there and stared at you creepily.
I felt that much of the movie was shot already, and then they had to fix it.
And then they had to...
That way they couldn't fix it because they already had footage. That's what I think happened.
It might have been, yeah. But yeah, I mean...
Yeah, is it worth seeing? No.
Well, the first third of it is good.
Yeah,
I liked the first third of it, but it just kind of...
It's $3.99 for SD.
Yeah.
And I only gave it 2 stars, and that's what other people were giving it.
Yeah, because you don't see the rating until after, at least on Xbox.
To me, it looks like a movie that was going to be good, and then they kind of just fixed it because something happened to it. they tried to just kind of cobble it together, and they put that out. Go well.
Yeah.
That's what it seems.
At least it's done.
At least the movie's done. And I think that's what happened.
Yeah,
I just have the feeling of that.
Which, like I said,
that it was something that was patched together and tried to salvage out of some footage that they had.
Yeah. Which, like I said, it's a real shame because it could have been like a really good movie. But oh well.
Should have been really good.